Good day, hoteliers, and welcome to a very big episode 265 of the Hotel Marketing Podcast, where we're going to be having amazing conversations with the one, the only, Bart Berkey. Now, Bart brings decades of hotel management experience. He's an award-winning author, host of Most People Don't, But You Do podcast, and a TEDx speaker. And somehow, between doing all that stuff, he still has time to sit down with, three little folks from Travel Boom Marketing and talk hotels. Bart, how are you doing today, sir?
Outstanding. And no one is just anything. I can't wait. Pete, you were an amazing guest on my podcast. Happy to return the favor and happy to share the ideas, not only with Travel Boom listeners, but I want to make sure that it gets out to my listeners as well. So thank you. Thrilled to be able to have a fun conversation.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We recorded ours back on, I believe, August 23rd or so, maybe that when it was published on your side.
Yes.
And since then, today is September 9th. I've been thinking about our conversation about how to really just be the best you can be from a hotelier perspective and kind of a person perspective as well. And I'm really excited to kind of continue that conversation. So if you have not yet listened to that episode of the Most People Don't, But You Do podcast, I'm going to go ahead and say it, Bart. Pause this episode.
Wow.
Go and check it out. I think you'll be really happy. It's Most People Don't, But You Do podcast, which is on Spotify, iTunes, pretty much anywhere you get your podcast, you're going to find it right there. And it's one of the, all right, so let's see, it's the top 2% of podcasts in the world.
Yes.
So that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have some work to do, ladies, to get to where we need to be.
Well, maybe Bart can help us out.
We're
fangirling.
Let's see. I can help you. First of all, it's the consistency. So to your team, to the Travel Boom team, congratulations on over 200. It's the consistency, and then it's also, what is the value? I mean, you all know this, and that's what we're going to be able to share today. I'm excited about the preemptive questions that you started already to share. People need to learn, and people that want to learn are going to be able to listen to this show to be able to gather some unique perspectives on what can they do better as a hotelier, as a marketing guru, as a human being. That's the purpose, and that's the goal. And when you have people that are over 50 like myself, I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot. I've touched just about every single opportunity or situation that you can possibly deal with from a hotel lens. I probably have an idea of some stories. Maybe I did it right. Maybe I didn't do it right. But this is what I learned. And you don't have to go through the same thing because you can learn and hear our story. So I'm thrilled to be able to speak with the three of you.
Very excited about it. Yeah. So actually, speaking of that, we also have Mackenzie on the podcast today. Hello again.
Hello. How's it going?
Doing good. Oddly enough, we're recording this in a morning episode, so we all should be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on a Monday morning.
Oh, of course.
And then we also have Alyssa. Hey, Alyssa.
Good morning.
Well, good. So, yeah, I think we have a really fun episode today. What we're going to be really doing is talking about what I think is really where Bart really comes in is what great hoteliers do, but most people don't. And we're going to really just learn how to be a little bit better of a hotelier today, not just from a marketing perspective, but just a better hotelier in general. Think of the innkeepers of old serving the guests and really making sure that they had the experience that they're going to take back and share with everybody else that they know. All right. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the first segment, which is a little bit of an inside Travel Boom. And Bart is the guest for this. So I have one question for all of you guys. We're just going to go around the room and get your thoughts on this. But here's the question. You ready, everybody? All right. Ready. What is one thing you've experienced at a hotel that you wish all hotels would either have or do?
Ding, 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 ding.
All right. Bart rang in first.
Oh,
let's go to Bart.
Oh, I thought Mackenzie hit the bell. Sorry, my fault.
You want Mackenzie to go first?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
First. Come on now.
No problem. I'm ready to go. Okay, so mine was actually from a recent trip that I went on. I just visited Daytona Beach for the first time, and I stayed at the Shores Resort and Spa. So shout out to them if they're listening. I spoke to Mackenzie there. We're named twins, so we immediately hit it off. But they did complimentary s'mores. And I loved that. I just thought it was so unique. And actually, I was on Google this morning and the little like avatar thing was a s'mores picture.
Yes.
National S'mores Day is tomorrow, September 10th. So get ready. But I just thought it was such a cool idea, something super unique. They had big fire pits out by the ocean, and I just loved it. I thought it was super cool. So I think having something small like that, and they had them all packaged cute. They had the little skewers and everything. Just something small like that really makes you stand out. I loved it. I thought it was super cool.
Can I jump in at any time, Pete, or am I going to be annoying?
No,
I'll let
anytime.
you
This
thumbs
is the
down if you
Bart
want.
Show. We're just help. You're here to
Okay.
support
It's
the
your
Bart
world.
Show.
We're living in it.
First of all, thank you for sharing that. What do you think it actually cost a hotel to do that? Ballpark.
Not very much. I don't have a ballpark, but I would assume the benefits far outweigh the costs with that.
Yeah.
I thought it was so unique.
Yes.
I loved it.
And you're shouting it out to hundreds of thousands of listeners. You're going to continue to share that story with anyone that you happen to meet that asks you a question. Have you been traveling lately? What's been fun? The point is that they're making it unique, special, and different. And they're not charging you $50 for a s'mores kit or $25 for a s'mores kit, because the cost of what that costs them is minimal. The benefit is incredible. I love that they're not saying that it is part of the, and I know it's a sensitive subject, resort or destination fee. You're paying the resort fee because you have access to s'mores. Well, what if I don't eat marshmallows and I'm allergic to chocolate? Why are you charging me $50?
Yeah.
But something simple, you can talk about it, and it created a memory, and it didn't cost that much. What a fun story.
It was a solo travel trip too. So I just sat out there, I roasted my marshmallow, and I had the best time.
Well, the fun thing about that is, kind of, Bart, to build on what you just said, is when it doesn't cost much, but hotels put a lot of effort into creating, selfie stations, places for your, Insta shots and whatnot. And those are all, generated, right? They're not authentic. But if you can have people authentically having fun for the cost of a bunch of marshmallows and some chocolate and graham crackers, that's the stuff that's actually going to get shared versus just a, staged photo of me standing next to a happy sign with the name of the hotel. So when you think about that, it becomes so important that you're creating those experiences that, then get, shared online and, posted everywhere. All right, that's a good one. Well, let's go around the room then. Alyssa, what do you have?
So I was also on the food and beverage train, but Pete passed this question around in advance, so I had some time to think about it, and I was discussing it with my husband. So I'm on team welcome drink, because I like a good glass of champagne or something, but also like warm cookies, and not just like cookies at the front desk that have been sitting there all day. Maybe a cookie station, which also does not cost a lot. I also thought about like traveling with children, and I love when someone at the front desk really acknowledges my kids and has a sticker or something so small that, kids don't care what it costs. They just care that they were paid attention to. So my kids have been given stickers, but my husband was on team handwritten note. Clearly, he's much more sentimental than I am, but obviously that has only happened to us when we've gone to upscale hotels and resorts. So few and far between, but we have gotten handwritten notes addressed to us by name, letting us know, if you need anything or enjoy your stay. And he remembered that. I think that's great. It's a nice touch, but I'm more swayed by something tangible,
alcoholic,
food, beverage, something else.
Yeah, the bubbly.
Yeah. An experience versus the note that, I'm just going to throw away. I'll just say it. I'll be honest. But that's, obviously different things resonate with different people. So,
Alyssa, were the names spelled properly on the note?
They were.
Mm-hmm. And was it typed or was it handwritten?
It was handwritten.
Okay. I did some research on this because I think the power of recognizing people is so important, that if you are trying to recognize a team member, as an example, and you mail a handwritten note of appreciation to someone, the open rate is something staggering, like 99.9%.
Mm-hmm.
Compare that to an email that you send to Pete or to McKinsey saying, you're doing a great job. The open rate is, I'm sure, much less. Even if it's coming from you, I'm sure it's higher. But if I were to send it, the open rate is going to be much less. But the study goes on to share that over 50% of millennials will hold on to a handwritten note as a memento or as a souvenir. They'll hold on to it. They'll use it then as a bookmarker. I love the aspect that there are still hotels out there that are sending handwritten notes. And maybe, again, not as powerful for you, but certainly that your husband appreciated it.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, did he hold on to it even though you thought you threw it away?
He probably tried to. He's a bit of a hoarder. But I'll call out the hotel. It was Garden of the Gods in Colorado. So stunning property, not something that we would visit frequently just because of the cost. But they went above and beyond from the moment we stepped on property, handwritten notes, called us by name. They did a fantastic job of making us feel welcome. We probably hung on to it for a bit, and then I snuck it into the trash at some point.
Yeah, and it's all good. And I was not pointing fingers or hoping that you had held on to it. The word that you just used, Alyssa, it's feel. They went above and beyond, and they made us feel. McKinsey, when you had the opportunity, how did you feel roasting s'mores? How did that opportunity make you feel?
Honestly, I felt nostalgic because I love s'mores. And I know some people were probably like, oh, it's just, garbage marshmallows, but it's something that kind of made me reflect on my childhood, and I was by myself and I'm like, oh, this is so nice, and just taking in the view of the ocean. So yeah, I felt appreciated, and it was it was a nice touch. I really, really did enjoy it.
Well, yeah, I think in both of those cases, like I say it a lot, but when someone is staying at a hotel, usually the hotel is the necessary requirement so that person doesn't have to sleep in the rain while they're visiting a destination and creating memories. So if you're able to tie into that and become part of that experience, because a lot of the other properties in whatever resort destination or wherever that might be, they're going to have done the basics of clean room, friendly staff, safe parking, that kind of stuff. But what can you do to, say hello, Alyssa, or, hey, Mackenzie, your marshmallow's on fire, whatever it might be, to bring that together and have those memories that you can then share on the podcast or wherever you might be.
Yeah, and it's going to make you feel a certain way. And this is another question I'd like to ask. And Pete, tell me if I'm talking too much. What did you experience that you felt like you had to call home about? What was the experience that you wanted to pick up the phone and you wanted to tell your family or friends about? And Mackenzie, my guess is that you won't believe what this hotel did. How was your evening? I made s'mores last night.
I sent a photo to my parents, and they were like, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Alyssa, I know your family was with you, but perhaps friends or colleagues or anyone. Did you tell anyone? I mean, you're telling hundreds of thousands of people right now, but did you tell anyone while you were experiencing that?
I don't remember. This was a few years ago, but it's stuck with me, obviously, and I'm telling you guys now, and it's something that we'll always remember. So yeah, I would agree.
Awesome. All right, Bart, how about you? What is one thing that you have experienced at a hotel that you wish every hotel would do?
I have nothing. Sorry.
Nothing. You've never been to one?
Pass. This happened last week. I was in Atlantic City, Pete, as I started to share with you, and the Hard Rock Atlantic City Hotel was phenomenal. This is what they did. I arrived to the desk. I was early. My guest room was not ready. They said, let's make it very easy for you. Let's confirm your form of payment. Great. Here's a key. When your room is ready, we will activate it. So you don't need to come back down to the front desk. 35 years in hospitality. I did not know that technology existed. I guess not every single
Hmm.
property can do that, but with some updated technology, supposedly there are systems that will allow you to do that. There I was able to sit down, have lunch, pull up my laptop, get some work done in preparation for the speaking that I was doing, did some wonderful people watching, and all of a sudden, texting, your room is ready. I had my bags with me. I didn't need to go back down anywhere. I didn't need to stand in line again. I just went right up to my room, and it was brilliant. And how I felt was appreciated. I felt like it gave me convenience. It was easy. It was not frustrating. It saved me time. All of these feelings
Mm-hmm.
from technology. And Pete, I know you and I met at High Tech, which there's some incredible technology going on in the hospitality world. That's one example of using technology not to deter from personalized service, but to enhance personalized service.
Well, what you're doing there is you're taking the guest interaction and shifting it from a required, you have to go to the front desk, to now the consumer is dictating that reaction, that relationship. Hey, you've got your key. You're set to go. We're not going to inconvenience you by making you follow our procedures. It's done. It's taken care of. You'll get a text if it's a digital key where your phone just works, whatever it might be. Yeah, let's break down those barriers so it's more of an optional, service where, hey, I can work with the property as much as I need to, but if I don't, I can sit by the pool and enjoy my welcome drink or s'mores or whatever else it might be that I want to do.
And when you consider how large the Hard Rock is, I've been to that one, or any casino really. Sometimes depending on where you went for that period of time, it could take you 10-15 minutes to even get back to the front desk. So also considering it from more of just a guest experience piece, but ancillary revenue, you're sitting gambling longer, you're ordering an extra drink because you don't have to walk back to the front desk.
You're absolutely right. I got sandwich, fries, and a drink. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and the food and beverage department is happy. Nice. All right, well, so to kind of wrap it up, I'll go ahead and share my story. And this actually takes place in Yosemite. So a little over a year or so ago, I went out to visit a client at Rush Creek Lodge, right at the entrance of Yosemite. And their property is so cool for a couple of reasons. One is at Yosemite, so it's strikingly beautiful. But their entire staff are locals. They put a lot of effort into actually having staff stay on property if they want to. They've invested a ton in staff housing and options like that. But everybody at the property was an avid outdoors person who you could ask them, hey, I'm going on a hike. And they say, well, what's your fitness level? Have you checked out Tenya Falls or Lake? Have you done Cathedral? Have you done this? They're not necessarily going to say, oh, you should probably climb El Capitan, but they're going to find something that works perfectly for you. And literally every single one of those people was not just recommending what the sheet said. It was, I was out there last weekend and we had a phenomenal fall time at Hetch Hetchy, whatever it might be. And they all knew the area. So it wasn't that I was just staying at the property. It was, I was staying at a property with a bunch of locals who are all experts and curated my stay experience to what I was looking for. Now, one thing that they're not necessarily going to be able to do for everybody is we're taking a tour of the property. And it happened to be on August 24th, which was my birthday. We decided to go on a hike, which is a phenomenal time. But where we were driving, they had smuggled in a little cupcake and signs that said happy birthday. Now, I didn't even know they knew it was my birthday because I don't make a big deal about that. But we got up to the top. We were at Cathedral Lake, which is an alpine lake at like 9,500 feet. So we did this long hike up there, and I had my little happy birthday sign, and it's a picture that I actually have like on the wall where it's like it was such a memorable experience that they went so far beyond just, okay, you're our agency or you're a guest. It was, we truly care about making sure the people who stay here experience everything they possibly can and take away as much as possible from their stay in Yosemite. And it's one of those places you don't get to visit often. And when you do, you want to make sure that you're like, wow, I did that. Check that off the bucket list. I would love to go back again. So that was a
I mean, another great story. And what I like about that, it relates to the hospitable part of hospitality. And you can find things, you can Google things, you can search things. But what are the people that are working there going to be able to give you access to? Access to something unique, different, and extraordinary. What can they do that is not Googleable? That's what most people don't do. Don't provide unique experiences.
Yep, and that's what that's where we go on vacation. Yeah, that is that is literally what we do. So awesome. Well, I think that was probably one of the best Inside Travel Boom that we've ever had. I'm excited about that one. We're going to move on to the next segment, which is Room for Improvement, which is where Mackenzie reads a Reddit post and we either bag on it, enjoy it, or share some insights of how a hotel could do a little bit better. Mackenzie, what do you have for us today?
Alrighty. These are fun, Bart. I think you'll enjoy this little segment here. Alrighty. So we love the usernames for these, by the way. So we take a lot of pleasure in reading those off. This one is interesting. I don't know exactly what they mean by it, but it's South_U7404. All right. The subject line is hotel worker, third party incognito warning. And this is what they posted. Hotel worker, parentheses, night auditor here. Just had a guest check out asking about a charge for his room, which was practically double our rate. He had a prepay with a popular company I don't want to name for legal reasons. He was confused when I told him this and that the charges would be from them for hidden fees, not us. He informed me that he was sure he reserved using our parent company's site. I've heard of a few cases like this, but I think it's just worth the warning. Double check that it is the official site. Look if it is the parent company name, the first one which shows up under Google, has official watermarks, etc. Be very diligent in research. Also know that as workers, we cannot refund for third parties. We cannot even cancel reservations from them. It all has to be done through the third party with a few recovery services like breakfast coupons or free drinks aside. This guest was very understanding and kind, but I have had guests blame us for third-party issues, so just be mindful. This is an interesting one.
This one's a little tame in comparison to our typical Reddit thread.
Yeah, they're usually a little bit more aggressive.
Well, I think this one is such a big issue in the industry. I know of one example of where, I was talking with a client who, it's very high repeat guest property. And one day a guest was checking in and the owner happened to know who the guest was. And the lady at the front desk that was checking him in said, "Oh, I see you book through," in this case, I think it was booking.com. And he's like, no. He goes, "I booked direct." And the owner says like, "Wait, why did you book from, a third party?" He's like, "What are you talking about? I Googled it and I clicked and it was your site and I booked." And people don't know. A majority of people don't even understand that PPC ads exist. And I think for hotels, it is important that you are owning your guest experience. If someone stays at the property, you're being very diligent in terms of setting up your anniversary emails to bring them back to the property, and also making sure that you're doing what it takes to make sure on the search results page that you're not losing a booking for something that you've invested all the time, money, and relationship in building that guest to not have them book direct.
So what about the relationship? When I was on the hotel side, it was the goal to have them book direct. It was more cost effective and we had more control over it and we didn't have to pay the fees out, just as an example. But is there also, I want to make sure that I'm very respectful. There are some great distribution systems out there that are allowing hotels to get business that they probably never would have thought about, touched, learned about, whatever the case is, because maybe they aren't using the services of Travel Boom. So they're not being first searched whenever they are typed, the hotel is typed in. So I know there's value, of course, to these third-party organizations. I don't want to discount that. It is interesting. I'm happy that no one was placing the blame, the direct blame, because that's the easy thing to do. Has nothing to do with us. You need to call them. You need to call them. It sounded like it was handled in a very professional and polite way. So I guess the answer, what if this guest was irate?
Mm-hmm.
What if they were just beyond frustrated and they didn't want to hear the policy or the process? Well, our policy is that because it was booked through a different channel, we're not responsible for anything. And you have to do this and you have to do this and you have to do that. If you're an upset guest, how is that going to make you feel?
That's the tough part, right? Because in this case, they don't have access to the level of the folio to actually refund the guest.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the most important thing is you never say it's not my responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
but you may not necessarily be able to fulfill the guest's desire to get half off.
Yeah.
So I think,
yeah. So what could a hotel do? If let's assume that this hotel employee is empowered to make a guest happy. Just curious what you all think, what could a hotelier do? Front desk, not my fault, had nothing to do with me. What could they do to make the guest more comfortable and more satisfied?
In this scenario, I would feel so uncomfortable just knowing, obviously there's a surprise element as far as additional fees that you're probably stressed out about. Maybe offering them a discount on their next stay. Maybe apologizing, but letting them know this is our official website. If you book directly through it next time, I can be of more assistance. I don't know that there's much that they could do in that moment that would make me feel better other than immediate satisfaction of some sort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of have to go around the other side of the counter in that case and say, I know this is so frustrating. I understand where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
We see this happen from time to time, and it really is unfortunate. Let me show you what our website is. And one of the things that we see happen is someone might do a search, and they're going to click on that first link. And a lot of times that may not be our website. It's really unfortunate. I wish there was a way around it.
So you're telling me I did something wrong, Pete. You're telling me, great, I screwed up. I did something wrong. Wow, I feel even worse now. Thanks. I'm not getting money and I screwed up.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just playing.
No, I like it. I think the trick though is by kind of saying, hey, I am with you on this. This is frustrating. I know where you're coming from.
Yes.
But I think at that point, the property does need to say, when there's a problem, it's your opportunity to earn a repeat guest.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we kind of see OTAs in general is a phenomenal new guest opportunity. That's your new business channel.
Great.
Once you get them on property, then they become a repeat guest and you got to drive direct bookings. However, in this case, you may say, okay, you know what? I'm going to make some investment in a future guest. Mm-hmm. And, hey, how about this? I know this is frustrating. I can do a late checkout. I can, comp you a little bit at the bar just to make it. I don't have to do this. I want to do this because I'm in your spot.
Yes.
I understand what you're going through. And it's more important for us to make the vacation amazing than to stick to a policy.
Yes. Yeah. And empathy. Sorry, go ahead, Mackenzie.
Oh, well, mine was kind of similar to what you were going to say with empathy. I think two of the things that you said, Pete, really stuck out to me, making them feel, hey, this happens to other people too. I had an incident. I was at the airport a couple weeks ago and I was in a gift shop and I accidentally pressed, it was like, do you want to continue? As soon as I inserted my card and I pressed no. And I don't know why, but I just felt so stupid in that moment. And the girl was like, oh my gosh, it happens multiple times a day. And that instantly made me feel better. Mm-hmm. And I also think taking the time to show them how to book directly so it doesn't happen to them in the future, whether it's your property or other properties, just so they can avoid an incident like that again. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, not making them feel bad, empathizing with them. I was in a situation a couple weeks ago. I needed to get some things done on car repairs. And I've known the gentleman for quite some time. His wife was one of our top customers when I was with Ritz-Carlton. And watching him interact with customers, this is outside of Washington, D.C., wide variety of different types of customers. But I heard him getting on the phone and calling the DMV for one of his clients because the client had their license had expired and they were trying to get something done that required a valid license. So he not only called the DMV, he called the people back home and said, do you have a passport that's valid? Do you have this that's valid? Are you retired military by chance? These are things that we could use. Oh, it was to get a new key. You needed to show who you were. This is who I am. I own the car. I'm allowed to get a new key from the car dealership. Here's a gentleman that it wasn't his problem, was not his fault, but he was trying to help. And I think that's the takeaway that I'm hearing from Alyssa McKinsey and Pete. Thank you. That you're trying to help. Even when it's not your problem, you're still trying to help. And isn't that hospitality at its finest? And you don't need to give everything away. You can certainly make it more comfortable for them to hear it, but that is coming from an empathy lens. And you know, what I do have the ability to do, and I don't need to do this, let me buy you breakfast this morning. I know you're frustrated. Before you head to the airport, it's on me. Makes a big difference.
I don't remember the name of the resort, but I think it was in Australia where a guest had their luggage get delayed. And it was one of the news items or Reddit threads that we did a while back. But the property obviously couldn't help the guest, right? The luggage didn't show up. But what the property did do is they called the airline, found out where the luggage was, sent one of their people to the airport to get the luggage for them while the person was hanging out by the pool and enjoying their vacation. Again, going back to, it's not my responsibility.
Yes.
They're at your property. This is your chance to make that amazing experience that they're going to say, oh my gosh, I lost my luggage and they literally drove to the airport to find it for me. Or I paid double and they felt horrible about it and they made me have this amazing experience. They upgraded me to a room that may have been going unoccupied regardless, but I got something from that property.
You're being cared for.
Yep.
You are being cared for. And I'm thinking when I was traveling internationally a couple of years ago, I was going to Doha and had never been there before. And I was nervous, but the hotel that I was meeting with and presenting with, they picked me up at the airport. They made it easy for me. They made me feel comfortable. They explained to me traditions and cultures and customs. They were caring for me. And the same thing whenever I headed back, they were caring for me. That's the aspect of, I don't need to get another dollar out of you or another $50 out of you. I want to care for you. And you probably have heard stories before if someone, God forbid, has an allergic reaction while they're staying at a resort at a hotel and they have to go to the emergency room. There are so many stories of all different industries, all different brands, I guess, independents as well as brand names, that a person cares for that person and they go to the hospital with them because they don't speak the language in whatever destination they're at. I want to make sure that you're cared for. And that just sums up hospitality. In Pete, in our conversations, you were talking about the culture of Travel Boom and the parent company. There were so many examples where you were sharing how the company cares for you all as employees, and you also care for your customers. You don't need to make a buck from them. Great. If they need one of your products or services, lovely. But you don't need to get money from them because you care for them deeply. That is just so special. Shout out to Travel Boom for representing those types of values. It is so unique in today's world. But I wanted to throw that in. I appreciate what you all are doing.
Thanks for the kind words.
Yeah. So one of the I'm a big fan of Andy Frisella. And he has a phenomenal podcast as well. But, when somebody asks him, okay, what is the purpose of business? And it is not to make money. The purpose of business, from his perspective, at least what he says, is to solve problems. Money that you get is a byproduct for solving those problems. And if you always think customer first, okay, your problem is X. How can I solve that? And if I can do that for you, and if I can do that consistently, well, then the money comes, right? People are like, hey, they're the problem solvers. It could be, hotel, it could be, expanding your knowledge from your perspective part, or it could be, health supplements from Andy Frisella's part. It all goes back to solving the problem. making the person feel welcome, and they're going to want to do business with you.
Yeah, and I can speak to this a little bit with my role being in business development. I usually have one of, the first interactions with people who could become our clients. So I think one of the most important things that I've learned over my time here is during those discovery calls, letting them vent, letting them talk, and listening more than I speak to really find out what the root of the problem is. And I think that that can apply within, our agency, but also for hoteliers with their customers too.
I will say, I think where most hoteliers fail at this is staff training. You can't be hospitable if you're not hiring caring people. So, most of the time guests are dealing with that hourly overnight worker behind the front desk, or even if it's early in the morning or with a line at check-in and they're only one person. So really leaning on leadership to emphasize the hospitable aspect of guest satisfaction is crucial.
It's not easy. And for your hotelier listeners, we know it's not easy doing what you do. I presented to a hotel group last week, and their number one obstacle was staffing. Wow. So they're listening. People are listening to this, and oh yeah, it's great to be able to do a handwritten note card. Well, I don't have enough time. I'm already working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, it's lovely to be able to step around the desk and explain something and walk them through how they could book differently next time. I don't have time because there's 37 people that are waiting in line behind. So the aspect is, I think everyone needs to know, we all understand that things are busy and people are busy and there are limited resources. However, there are things that you can still do that don't cost a whole lot of money, that don't take a whole lot of time. There's processes to be able to figure out how to do things. While we are doing our best, I think as hospitality industry folks, of trying to get the right people, we might not always get the right people. Or if we get what we think people have the right heart, the right propensity to serve, but they don't have a leader that has time to show them what to do or to teach or train them. Well, I never knew I could step away from the front desk. I never knew that I could buy someone a cup of coffee. I never knew that I could send a birthday note and put it in a backpack for someone. Great example. 2 weeks ago when I was traveling, had rented a car from a provider, and the air conditioning stopped working. Well, it was 90 degrees, and we have a dog that doesn't like heat and can't really breathe well when it gets real hot. When you put down the windows, it shakes and it bothers my ears and my son's ears. My mother, who's 89 years old, was with us. She doesn't do well in heat. So it was just a mess. So as we're driving in a 4-hour drive, I'm calling this provider and I'm not getting anywhere. Can I get a new car? Well, tell me what your zip code is. Well, I don't know what that zip code is. I don't know where it is. I mean, it was, can I speak to someone else? Can someone else help me? No, there are no supervisors here. We're not allowed to give that out. Can you email me? No, can't email me. Well, can I get an exchange if I drive an extra hour out of my way? Can I get an exchange at the airport? No, I can't tell you that a car is going to be available. So if you want to risk it, you can risk driving an extra hour to see if you can get a car with air conditioning. But you really have to wait back for our regional manager to call you. Okay, an hour passes by. I'm hot. It's getting hotter than 90. No regional manager calling. 92 degrees. Getting more frustrated. No regional manager is calling. Finally, night falls. It starts to cool off. Screw this. Let me drive to the airport the next day. And what happened is the airport handled it so well. The people at the airport, they were trained. They had the leadership. They had the knowledge. They had the empowerment. I'm so sorry. We're going to take a couple $100 off of you. And I gave you this massive Ford Expedition XL that you're going to love. I already checked the air conditioning. It works. It has ventilated seats. It works. Plus, I just got you ice cold water, 6 bottles. It should be good. And here's a little bowl for your dog. Right? That's how you handle, that's how you care for people. And then I just returned the car yesterday back here, and they said, how are things? I'm like, not the best, not the easiest, but you guys recovered well. This gentleman said, I'm going to take care of everything for you. You shouldn't have happened. That should not have happened. my client was going to be paying for this. So it's, $600 of a rental car that he said that shouldn't have happened. I'm sorry. It's on me. It's on us. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. I will go back to that organization again. But I also gave my card and said, if your call centers need help with customer service training, let me help them, because it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. Probably longer of a story that you wanted to hear, but Alyssa, sorry.
I think it's interesting that the airport fixed it for you, because we traveled last weekend as well. And we rented a car. We picked it up. We were in a hurry. We were traveling for a wedding, and the front tire was pretty flat, like too flat that we weren't comfortable driving. We didn't even pull out of the garage. And I went back up. My husband said, "Hey, do you have a pump? We can pump it." They said, "No, we don't have that here." I said, "You're an entire car rental agency. How do you not have a pump for a tire?" They said, "We don't have any other cars." So, well, what are we supposed to do? We reserved this car well in advance. Thank God somebody was returning their car because it smelled of smoke. And she was like, "Well, you can have his car." And I was like, "That's literally the best offer you have for me right now." I'm like, "How bad can it smell?" Like, it's not a smoking vehicle. Someone must have just smoked in it one time. And yeah, we took it. We probably got contact high. It was so bad. And then they sent out a survey, and I'm like, this was horrible customer service.
Yeah. It's amazing. The person who defines your brand is a person who is interacting with the customer. Yeah. And if that person doesn't not only feel empowered, but just has the tools at their disposal to not make the company look like an ass, to be honest with you. It's like, okay, what can I do? You
can spend thousands on marketing, but it's not, it's not going to translate to customer service.
Yeah. So, that actually brings us, I want to shift over to the main topic, which I think ties perfectly into this. So what we're talking about is what great hoteliers do, but most people don't. So I think to set the stage for kind of heading into the main topic, we'll kind of talk a little bit about what great hoteliers do from operations perspective, guest relations, marketing, and property improvements. But to set the stage, Bart, you have decades of experience. Do you want to kind of give us a quick bio of your time with Ritz-Carlton and everything else that you've been working on?
Sure. I 10 years with Hyatt Hotels, 7 cities in those 10 years, phenomenal experience. Several years with convention and visitor bureaus representing the destination. So that was Long Beach, California, and also St. Louis, Missouri. Starsight, which was a technology company that is now sold and owned by several other companies. And then finally 16 years with Ritz-Carlton. Started off on property, Pentagon City, became a recruiter for sales and marketing, which then gave me additional thoughts on how can we find the right talent? How can we train the right talent? And a lot of candidates don't do what most people don't do. There's a lot of learnings from interviewing thousands of people. You see the people that do, the people that take action are the ones that are successful, happy, content, and they get the job. They get the job working for a very good hotel company. And then in addition to that, I was then promoted to lead part of a global sales team. We were then representing 125 Ritz-Carlton hotels, with Marriott being the parent company of Ritz-Carlton, purchased Starwood. Our team was then selling 450 luxury hotels, with the integration of Starwood being W Hotels, Luxury Collection, St. Regis, along those lines. Quick end of the story, pandemic hit. Right before the pandemic, I had a heart attack. It was, I think, my body and my mind saying, there's an awful lot of change going on. You need to pause. You need to figure out what is going to fulfill you, what is going to sustain you for the rest of your career. Weeks later, pandemic, and my team and I, we were put on furlough. I found out that the majority of my team was going to be losing their jobs. I felt that my job, no disrespect, no animosity, but it was happening, business decision. My job most likely was going away. So I wrote this book called Most People Don't about 10 years ago. And organically, it just kind of took off. Self-published through Amazon, people would find it and they would ask questions. Bart, can you come and talk on this topic of what exceptional people do, what separates, what differentiates folks. That's what I knew I had that to fall back on. Pandemic happened for me, not to me. I had a little bit of a runway. This is what I want to do full time. Now I'm doing keynote speeches for 20 people up to 5,000 people. I do sales and service training, the podcast, and a lot of other ventures that are out there relating to helping people. That's what I've been doing now full time for 5 years, meeting incredible folks and helping, more importantly, and most importantly, helping people that need to hear good thoughts, that need to be reminded of they're doing a great job. You all are doing a great job. Why are you special? What makes you remarkable? That's the value I believe of, and my purpose now of what I do.
Yeah, and I think you're definitely helping far, far more people than you would have in the corporate world. I know, I appreciate it. I've been, kind of catching up on some of your episodes and reading more and more, and it's an exciting path. So we're excited to have you on here to really kind of say, okay, most people don't, but you do. Okay, what about most hoteliers don't, but you do? And it kind of reminds me of, I think it's the Ritz-Carlton. I think I saw it on your bio. Their motto is "Ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen," and that's like, wow, that's exactly what I think we all need to be thinking about. Is your staff is ladies and gentlemen. They're valued. They're important. They are your organization. They're the ones on the front end that say, hey, all we have is a smoke-filled car or one with a flat tire, versus the ones that say, we're going to go ahead and upgrade you to the Expedition XL, ventilated seats, Uber ride. So the question today is really, what are those hotels doing that are doing a great job, and where can we kind of plug that into every hotelier's world?
Recently, I've been speaking specifically on the topic of kindness and how it relates to service. And I'm going to lean in a little bit more to that today to answer that question. When you think about service, it's making people feel a certain way. If we look at kindness, it is making people feel a certain way. If we are kind to our customers, they're going to feel a certain way. If we're kind to each other, we're going to feel a certain way. It's just uplifting everyone from a positivity lens. Then I'm more willing, I have the right attitude, the right mindset to do what most people are not going to do. I'll give you a few examples. We were talking about McKinsey, the Reddit article, that this is our policy. And very easily that employee could have said, this is our policy, it has nothing to do with us. Sorry, you're out of luck. There's an opportunity of being kind over right. We don't want to make we don't need to be right by saying, you did it wrong. You should have booked on this website. That's not what any of our solutions were about today. It has really nothing to do with me, but let me be kind and let me still help you. I don't need to buy you a cup of coffee. I don't need to come around the edge of the desk, but let me be kind. I don't need to teach you a lesson. Someone honks and cuts you off. Are you going to flip them off? No, it's okay. Be kind, because maybe they have an allergic reaction. Maybe someone is giving birth. Maybe there's a medical emergency. So the reason that they're going to pass by you. So let's be kind over being right. That's just kind of the thought process to start. I talk about being include others. We can do that from a customer lens. We can do it from a colleague perspective. If someone is sitting in the break room and they're sitting by themselves, why can't we say, would you like to join us? Include others. McKinsey, you have a terrific idea. I want to hear what you have to say. Alyssa, we're including you in the conversation today. So can we include others? And that's simple, but so very, very powerful. And then it goes on to be neighborly and to do your best and things along those lines. To answer the question, I think if we are more kind, if hotels do their best to be more kind to their customers and to each other, that is naturally going to elevate service. I wasn't a jerk as a customer when I was complaining. I told them, has nothing to do with you. I know that. I was trying to be kind instead of being right. And I kind of joke that my 89-year-old mother, she used it as an opportunity to drink more iced tea or whatever the case is, right? I was not making them feel bad. That was me being a guest, a client. And the way that they responded back to it was they were also kind. They didn't correct me by saying, well, you should have checked the air conditioning before you left. Or, you know what, as soon as you noticed it, you could have stopped and you should have called this number, roadside assistance, instead of customer service. They didn't do any of that. They solved it by being kind. I just think there's so much power. Most people don't show kindness. Show kindness.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It kind of goes down. You said it's more important. You don't have to necessarily be kind. You don't necessarily always have to be right.
Yeah.
And from that example, the Reddit example, you don't have to be right. Hey, it's I'm a husband. A lot of times, it's far more important for me to be kind than to be right.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
I know where you're coming from there.
I love how you said that. I worked in the restaurant industry for a long time throughout high school and college, and there were so many incidents where I said I ordered this medium rare and this is not medium rare, and there's been so many incidents where I want to be like, yes, you did, lady. Like, I know that's what you said, but it's far more effective to be kind and say, hey, I'm so sorry. I'll take it back. We'll give you a discount, do whatever we need to do. So I think it really pertains in the hospitality industry.
Well, and I tell my kids this as well. Especially when they're arguing about something, and you could tell they're arguing for the sake of arguing, and you always have to say, stop. Okay, what is your goal? Is your goal to win this argument, or is your goal to be able to go out and go to dinner with your friends and not have your room cleaned? Think about what the goal of is, and don't just argue to be right and win an argument, when at the end of the day, your goal is not to be the argument winner, champion of the world. It's to do something else, right? Focus on that. And if it's customer satisfaction, whatever it might be, that's what you're going for. Get there.
I want to ask Alyssa this question so we can include her out of kindness, of course. Imagine, Alyssa, you go into a restaurant and you order a cheeseburger without cheese. What would you hope the server response would be?
Obviously they would say, of course, you're the customer. But I will say, I struggle with this. I agree with everything you're saying, Bart, but I think that being kind is much more difficult when you're not practicing. So I think, in the service industry or the hospitality industry, if you don't go into it with an open mindset about being kind, it's not going to be successful. And I'm just thinking back to last weekend. We traveled. We were at the airport. American Airlines they're known for overbooking flights. They overbooked both of my flights, arrival, departure, by like 10 people. And this is like my best friend from middle school getting married. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not getting on this flight? Why is it me? Why isn't it them? Is it just by chance? And I'm trying. I'm saying all the right things. I'm like, I know this isn't your fault, but like, I'm gonna freak out.
Mm-hmm.
And when kindness doesn't work, you need to develop those skills to have another solution. So I struggle with this, but I agree. I think kindness gets you much, much further.
Yeah, and it's not easy. I know it's not easy. One of my first jobs, I was working as a bartender, and a woman flicked a lit cigarette in my face because I did not have an ashtray in front of her. That gets back to the Ritz-Carlton terms of we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. If you don't treat me like a gentleman and you're flicking a lit cigarette at me, I am empowered to refuse you service. Going back to the cheeseburger without cheese, I love your answer. It's of course, the customer's right. We are not going to correct that customer. Talking about the recent airline situation when all flights were canceled because of situations, the computer situation.
Mm-hmm.
There was someone posted on social media. They got millions of views. And I shared this whenever I was speaking of this topic. It was a father and his adult son They were in one of the lounges, the airport lounges, and they were abusing by eating as much food as possible. They were taking rows and rows of cookies, taking one bite and putting it into the trash. They were getting 3 glasses of wine, taking a sip and dumping it into the trash. They were taking all of the Business Traveler magazines and putting them in the trash. They were mad that they were delayed, that they were canceled, that something happened with their flight. They were upset, and they wanted to prove that they were right. And it made me sad because they could have been kind. They weren't just joking about it. They were actually doing it. Bite of cookie, 30 in the trash, wasteful, hurtful, mean. It wasn't this particular airline's fault that their computer systems crashed or whatever the situation was. They were trying to be right instead of being kind. But you're right, Alyssa, it is not easy for customers to try to be kind instead of being right. And then I share advice as a speaker and as a trainer to be bamboo. And in fact, in a few hours, I'm going to go be presenting to a local organization, and we're talking about being bamboo. And being bamboo stands for flexibility, resiliency, bendability, going with the flow, be bamboo. In the grand scheme of things, is it going to matter? Is it going to matter in 5 minutes? Probably. Our flight was delayed. Is it going to matter in 5 hours? Probably. Will it matter still in 5 days? Probably. In 5 weeks, will I still remember? I was able to get there. Yes, we were delayed. It was certainly inconvenience. They lost my luggage. In 5 years, will it still matter? And that's really hard. And I share these things because I need to remember to go with the flow. I need to remember to be bamboo. So the bamboo goes through another acronym. That's how we learn. The B stands for breathe. The A stands for always be flexible. The M stands for things that you need to do to take care of yourself. But I think that that is what most industries or even the world is missing right now. Be kind. It doesn't cost anything. Just try it. My mother, 89 years old again, we took her out a couple of weeks ago, and she doesn't have extra money to give money to people. She's not able to shovel someone's driveway to be kind. She can't cook anymore. She doesn't cook, so she can't make her neighbor chicken noodle soup if they don't feel well. But what she did, she said, my goal today is to make 10 people smile. And we pushed her around an area of Pittsburgh, and she made, God bless her, 22 people smile. Doesn't cost anything. Doesn't cost anything. People over profits, purpose over pennies. You can tell I'm passionate about it, but Alyssa, I agree with you. It is not easy. But if
I think if you're met with kindness, if your frustration is met with kindness, you're automatically just, it takes you down a few levels. You're much calmer, and then you have a little bit of guilt. Maybe I should be kinder if they're being kind to me.
Yeah, people are going to mirror behavior. And if they're being rotten and you're only kind back, it gets really hard for the person who's taking one bite of cookie and throwing away, for someone to bring out more cookies. Like, hey, would you like some more? We know that you're having a hard day. Here's another tray. Are they really going to be that eager to bite one and throw it away in front of you when you just did something?
Jerks. They don't have any kindness in them.
Yeah,
but you're right. Here's a bag of 20 for you. I noticed that you were eating cookies. I knew you're having a bad day. Let me get you some milk also with it.
Yeah,
and then maybe they'll stop.
Yeah, so that's really good. So I think you're right. So most hotels really they don't exude kindness, and which is you would expect it to be the first thing that a hospitality person would do.
Wait, and I want to back up, because just as you said that, I guess I kind of have an issue with it. I think in order to get better, in order to deliver better service, in order to have better engagement, better retention, better referrals, better recommendations, I think most people don't focus enough on kindness. How is that?
I like it.
Most hoteliers don't focus enough on kindness. I think naturally, people are going to be kind, but I think if we want to enhance the hospitable aspect of care, we can do it through kindness.
I like it. So that definitely the first thing is to be kind again. Be neighborly, and you get that right back at you. And so I think that kind of helps from a guest relations perspective as well. But, you know, is there anything that you see that, hotels are not doing? Let's go look at it from, say, just an operations perspective. You have a
Mhm.
ton of experience in that world. Uh, what's those low hanging fruits that you say, like, why are you not doing this? Property X.
Mhm. I have been seeing a lot of hospitality workers on their phones. I cannot tell you, this is embarrassing, how many times when I'm on break from speaking or running a training session, I'll go into the men's room to use the restroom, and I'm finding a female employee on the phone. It is the weirdest thing. I don't know if it's a place to hide. Is there a boss, a female as well, that wouldn't enter into the ladies' room or the men's room? But it is the most unique thing. I'm seeing people on the phone all the time. I'm seeing people that are at a resort. Instead of handing towels, it is, the towels are there and I'm going to be on my phone. You need the towel is right there. It's, it's valet parkers, it's doormen that are looking more at the phones instead of looking up and looking at their people. And different hotel companies have different policies with regard to, are you allowed to use them or you're not allowed to use them? But I think that that's something that people need to look at. It should be about the guest. It shouldn't be about your phone. It's
Mm-hmm.
not meant to be, you're not necessarily meant to be entertained by electronics while you are at work. If you do it during a break, great, but don't do it in the men's room, especially if you're a female lobby attendant.
Yeah, that's definitely. So, and I feel bad that you have to tell people that.
Yes.
But you're right. You do. You say, hey, wake up. You are here for them. You be present. Be here. Not
Yes. And,
there.
and another thing that I believe is very important, and Alyssa kind of referred to it, there was a study done by PwC recently, The Future of Work, and they stated that 1 out of 3 employees are going to be leaving their jobs in the next 12 months. 1 out of 3. All industries, all levels. This is through for the United States. And there were 3 main reasons. 1, they didn't feel that there was enough personal growth. 2, they didn't like the culture. People weren't treating them well. And 3rd, they didn't know the direction of the company. And when you think about the first one, for any leaders that are on this call, personal growth is about having and taking the time to talk with your teammates, your employees, the people that you lead, to find out, what do you need from me? So maybe the female lobby attendant that was in the restroom, maybe she was waiting on news for the birth of a child or some reason. If I'm a great leader, I would want that person to tell me, I might be getting a phone call or a text sometime today. Is it okay if I have my phone on me? Because yes, of course, it's taking time to talk with your colleague, your employee, your boss. These are the things that I want to learn. Or what can you help me with? I want to grow. What can you help me learn to become a better person? When you have that, then you have the engagement level. And yes, we're being kind by having that conversation. You have the engagement level, then you're going to help me become a better person, a better professional, a better hospitality person, a better night auditor. Great. I'm committed to you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take the time to talk. And that is something also that most people don't do. Take the time to talk. 79% of individuals right now want to spend more time talking with their boss. Different than me. I didn't want to talk to anyone. Just let me do my own thing. Cocky little son of a gun growing up. And now I'm better, but I have my own company. But I still think that, if there are team members that I have now, I'm spending time talking to them. Most people don't talk to their employees.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, are we
And
done?
we already do.
Yeah. Well, it's
We
because
talk
here's
enough.
I can go on a plinth for sure, but no, I think what that really comes down to is, if you don't have those human relations, if you don't have the conversations, say McKinsey, you're going to assume the worst. That's just human nature, is to, oh, they're not talking to me because they're angry, or they're making me do this because they're an asshole, or whatever it might be. And the reality is when you bring people in and you sit down, you say, okay, let's talk about this. Let's figure out what that solution is. Where are you stressed? Is it a problem at home? Is it you can't get enough work? You can't get to your work because of other stuff. And then there's just little problems. 99% of the stuff in life, I feel like can be solved with a 5-minute conversation and solved. I'm way behind on my work. What's wrong? My mouse doesn't click. Well, okay, Amazon, boom. Okay, that problem is now solved. Let's move on. What's the next one? And you kind of work through that, but you get to know the person, and then those barriers drop, and you can start being transparent and open.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, not to hype our agency up, but I really do think the people here, care about you as a person. And I've only been part of the team for a couple of months, but everybody has been extremely welcoming. And yeah, I'm a very overly communicative person. So I like Pete. Yeah, it's funny you used me as an example, but I am that person who can sometimes assume the worst.
Mhm.
So it really does go a long way when, your boss is checking in on you and things like that. So I really appreciate that. And I think that, again, most people don't, but you should.
So I love it. So we've covered a lot. I know we're getting on just about an hour now. Bart, anything else that you can think of that's, I'm leaving this podcast today. I have a hotel. My competition is not doing this. I should be.
Oh, any examples of what competition is doing?
Yeah, well, I guess, is there anything else that you would want to share that, that hotels aren't doing that you wish they would?
Yes. It kind of goes back to what we started talking about from the beginning. It is caring and being kind, which leads to service. It's talking, it's being open, it's communicative, paying attention, focusing in on others, being flexible, being bamboo. But I would like to leave Pete, McKinsey, and Alyssa with a little motivational message, if I may. Okay. And this is going out for hoteliers, anyone involved in hospitality. We all know that what you do is not easy. There are long hours. You are focusing so much on everyone else. You have stakeholders, you have owners, you have revenue management, you have operations, you have corporate, you have ownership. There are so many different aspects, and customers. There are a lot of things that you are doing. But I want to share this, and it's helped me tremendously. Over Christmas last year, I was driving to Pittsburgh. My wife was with me, our 2 dogs, my son, our daughter lives in Hawaii, so she was not with us. But I'm flipping through the radio station, just looking for something to keep me entertained during the 4-hour drive. And I come across a comedian, and his name is Tom Papa, very clean, cerebral comedian. And he is talking about, you just have to do your best, take some pressure off. If you are trying to get fit, once in a while you eat a cookie. That's okay, you're doing your best. But then he said these words, by the way, you're doing great. When he said that, it hit me right in the heart. And I still get goosebumps even as I just say that. Here is one-way communication. It's through a radio. And I didn't think that I needed to hear something positive. But apparently I did. When I now speak in front of people, I encourage them to turn to the person next to them and let them know that you're doing great. Alyssa, you are working hard. You have a family. You're traveling. You have a lot of different commitments. You're approaching your 10-year anniversary. But Alyssa, you are doing a great job. I'm proud of you. You're doing great. McKinsey, yes, I know it's a newer organization for you. Yes, you are young and energetic. I know that business development is not always easy, but you have the right attitude. You're with people that care. You have a great background. You have amazing product and services. McKinsey, I am proud of you. You're doing great. Pete.
Thank you, Bart.
Yes, you're welcome. Pete, the conversations that we had, your kindness, your caring, you're a family man, but you're also creative. You do things for the right reasons. You've been with the different chapters within this organization for quite some time, but you're always trying to help move everything forward for the right reasons. Pete, you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. I'm going to clip those pieces out, and I'm going to kind of have it set up to email myself every once in a while.
Yeah, well, here's the point, and this is exactly the point. So when I'm in front of an audience, we take the time to turn to each other and say those things and look people in the eye. So I will never forget, this was for a high school group, believe it or not. I thought it would last 30 seconds. It lasted about 4 minutes. They were standing up and going and saying to other school districts, by the way, my name's Bart. We've not yet met. I wanted to say hello, and you are doing great. You are here at this organization. You're trying to become a better student. You're doing great. And then they started calling me off the stage. And I passed out gratitude stones. And Pete, I think I gave you a gratitude stone when I saw you. I give gratitude stones as a way of appreciation. These students naturally didn't have gratitude stones, but what they did have were sticks of gum. And they also had old Pop-Tarts from their lunch from the day before. Calling me off stage, giving me sticks of gum and telling me, Mr. Bart, I just want you to know you're doing great. You're doing great. So you are doing great. Those 3 words, I want to make sure that these hoteliers, the marketing folks that might be listening, anyone in the industry that is doing something for other, just know that you are doing great. You're making an impact. You're doing your best. Give yourself some grace, pat yourself on the back, and know that you are doing great. That's the thing that I think is most important. And as I left that event, I always share my phone number and my email address. And I was telling these students, and I would tell all of your listeners, 301-312-1600, Bart at Most People Don't. If you need to hear it tomorrow, Pete, you just were joking about getting a clip. If you need to hear it tomorrow, Mackenzie, if you want to hear it tomorrow, Alyssa, if I can remind you tomorrow, I will. I share this from stage. I'm driving to the airport after I'm done. All of a sudden, I get an email. The subject line is, can you tell me again? And it was from one of these students. And he just wanted me to remind him. This was an hour after I just said goodbye. I pull off the side of the road and I sent him this lovely email. You're doing great. I'm proud of you. To have the trust to be able to reach out to someone that you just met, to be vulnerable, to say that you need to hear it again. I am proud of you, Ben.
Man.
I'm proud of you. You're doing great. He sends me back a note and he said, thank you, Mr. Bart. I don't get to hear it at home. I don't hear it in school. Kids bully me because I'm different. Thank you, Mr. Bart. Once a week, for the last 3 weeks, I will send him a note. And to your listeners and to all of you, I'm a little bit worried because I've not gotten a response. So I'm worried about Ben in Colorado. But that's the power, okay? That's the power. There's a lot of people that need to know that you are doing great. There's a lot of people that know. So be free with those words. They don't cost you anything. Tell your family, tell your spouse, tell your partners, tell your friends, tell your kids that you're proud of them and that you're doing great. It means the world.
Man, I tell you what, that's the most powerful message I think we've ever had on the podcast. Thank you so much for that. I honestly, that's probably a perfect time to wrap up. I don't know how we can say anything better, but people work hard. They have a lot going on, and just knowing that is incredibly important.
Be kind. Don't
Yeah,
bully.
and people want to,
Don't bully. Be kind.
yeah. So, Bart, if people want to learn more about you, where can they go?
Website, mostpeopledon't.com, all one word. It's easy to remember. And the challenge for all of us, do what most people don't. Show kindness. Tell people you're doing great. Be flexible. Be bamboo. Mostpeopledon't.com, easiest way. And I did share Bart at Most People Don't. My last name is Berkey, Berkey. I'm the only Bart Berkey in the world. And
No way.
301-312-1600. I'm not joking as I share that. If I can help tell you that you're doing great, goodness gracious, of course. I do keynote speeches, of course. Yes, I sell books. Yes. I do sales and service training, of course. But the most important thing is that I want to be able to help as many people as possible. So thank you, Pete, Mackenzie, and Alyssa, for having me on this. I am so proud to know all of you. And Travel Boom, in my mind, is just so first class. Thank you for doing things like this to be able to also help people get through some difficult times. You're helping customers and you're helping people in the world. I am so grateful. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Perfect time to wrap up. That says it all. If you want to learn more, travelboommarketing.com. We'll be back next week with other episodes, but they probably won't be as good as this one. We're going to do our best, and we're always trying to improve. But man, oh man, Bart, you definitely hit a home run. So thank you so much for that.
Set the bar high.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll be back soon for more hotel marketing tips and tricks to make you the best marketer you can be. With that being said, Travel Boom is out.